Hi, good morning all. I welcome you all to this video, and I'm feeling very happy that we are going to start our 8th standard, and this is my first sync video of 8th standard. So welcome all the future scientists, and we are going to study science today. It's the first day of a new chapter, so you will be all excited to see which are the chapters that you all have in your science textbook, and which are the chapters we are starting with. So we are starting with the third chapter, that is force and pressure. So we are going to do this chapter first. Okay. Now, what's the objective for today, and what are we going to do in this video? So our objective for today, like for our Zoom classes, we will be able to classify real life situations into contact, non-contact forces and type of forces. That is our objective for the sync class. But before going to the sync class, what I thought was we have already learned a lot about the force in 6th standard, in 7th standard. So we will just revise some things and then we will come to the Zoom class so that we already know something about force. Okay. Now, my first question is, what is force? And what I will request you to again pause this video here and think about it from your previous standards. What do you think? What is force? Please write those in your book. Okay. Think about it and pause the video for 2 minutes and then restart the video. Okay. What is force? A force is something that can change the position, speed, and direction of an object. To simplify this sentence, for example, you are moving in a car, okay, and then the car takes a left. What happened is some force was applied to it, and the position of the car changed. You can change the speed also. For example, you're running, and then something comes in front of you and you stop, you apply some force, you stop, so you change the speed of it. So force is something that can change the position. In normal words, we apply force to pull an object. For example, opening the door of your class, you apply force. If sometimes in rainy season you feel like it gets very locked, it is not opening with your normal force, so you apply more force for it. So it is used for pulling object, it is used also used for pushing objects. So force is something that we used for pulling objects and pushing objects. Great, I hope everyone is clear with this. Please write this in your book. Okay. Second, what are some real life examples of force? So I just mentioned behind also, pushing a door, kicking a football, catching a ball. In fact, catching is also a force. There are many various examples of force. You also think of some, okay, when you're listening to this. Now, my third question in this video is, we have already studied this. Is force a scalar quantity or a vector quantity? So your Didi or Bhaiya or your teacher in 7th standard would have already done this. Is it a scalar quantity or is it a vector quantity? But before that, I again want you to pause the video, okay? And write down what is scalar and what is vector quantity. First, you should know that, and then you can classify what is scalar and is force a scalar or a vector quantity. So after 2 minutes, restart the video, and then a scalar quantity is any quantity which only has magnitude, it only has value, while a vector quantity has magnitude, a value as well as direction. I will just give an example of what is a scalar quantity. Okay, like your weight. Your weight now at your place is, for example, 40 kgs. Even if you go to Antarctica, north of the earth, or Arctic Ocean, or Antarctic, okay, then also your weight is going to be that much only, 40 kg. It's not going to change, okay? It's not going to change. So that weight, your quantity has a fixed value. वो डायरेक्शन के साथ चेंज नहीं होता है. बट फोर्स या बहुत सारे ऐसे क्वांटिटीज होते हैं जो अगर एक डायरेक्शन में उसकी पर्टिकुलर वैल्यू, जैसे नॉर्थ में अगर उसकी पर्टिकुलर वैल्यू तो ईस्ट में जाएगा तो वो चेंज होगा. Okay, so force is a vector quantity, it's not a scalar quantity, because we require value as well as the direction. Now I'll give you a simple example. Okay, abhi if you are pushing, you're applying force ऐसे आगे, and if you're pulling, you're applying force ऐसे पीछे. तो it depends on direction. मैं ऐसे नहीं बोल सकता okay I'm just applying force 10 न्यूटन का मैं force डाल रहा हूँ, नहीं. I can't say that. I have to also mention where am I applying force. Am I pushing or am I pulling? तो वो direction भी important है. That's why force is a vector quantity. I hope you have understood. This is very important part to understand. Okay, why is force a vector quantity? Now I'm going to the next part, which is about types of forces. We will cover 4 types of forces in this video. The first one is gravitational force, and you all know this famous example about Newton. Okay, how he discovered the gravitational force when apple fell on his head. So a gravitational force is a force which we experience every day, and it is the force because of which we can sit. Okay, it is the force because of which whenever any object tries, for example, you try to jump, you don't go up in the sky, you come down, because there is some force at the center of the that always keeps pulling down. Okay, जो भी चीज है उसको वो towards the earth pull करता है, down pull करता है, वैसे एक force है, that force is gravitational force. And I'm sure you would have heard about this a lot of times also. Second force is static. I After seeing this image, you would remember an example from a 7th standard or even from your lower primary grades that would have done. You used to take comb, then you used to rub it on your head, and then you had bits of papers, and वो bits of papers और comb एक दूसरे को stick हो जाते थे, right? You would have all done this experiments, and you would also remember what was the force that was there. It was called static electricity, but the force that was used was electrostatic force. So ये second type of forces है. So you can see cat, ये यहाँ पे भी same example किया. For example, the balloon has been rubbed, and then it has been taken near to the cat's hair. So the cat's hair are standing. This is a quite good example of electrostatic force, and this process, whatever happens, is static electricity. Next is friction, and I know you would have heard about this also, because this is also something that you have done in your lower standards. A friction is a, I will give a better example of friction. Okay, now you would have, now what happens is when you're running very fast, and something comes up, you apply brake, you stop. So there is some force acting. So your legs are in contact with the ground. So even if you are moving ahead, the ground is applying some force on you. वो जो ground एक force apply करता है, friction बोलते हैं उसके, वो रोकने वाला force होता है. Friction का meaning ही, in if you translate the meaning of friction, friction हमेशा ऐसे कहते हैं कोई रोकने की चीज होती है. Okay, so it stops you. The force applied by the ground on your legs is called friction. So there is something called frictional force. In the image you can see a football is going ahead, and it is going on the ground, but there is a force that ground is applying also, जो ऐसा कर रहा है कि फुटबॉल को पीछे ढकलने की कोशिश कर रहा है. ओके, सो फ्रिक्शनल फोर्स इज ऑलवेज बैकवर्ड्स. अगर एक चीज आगे जा रही है तो एक फ्रिक्शनल फोर्स रहेगा जो उसको पीछे ढकलने का ट्राई करेगा, हमेशा. इट्स ऑलवेज देयर, फ्रिक्शनल फोर्स इज ऑलवेज देयर. Then we'll see this force, which is muscular force. So from the image only you can see muscular force is something that we use our muscles for. For example, lifting weights or cycling, we use our muscles. That is called a muscular force. Okay, we did 4 types of force. Here it should be muscular force. Okay, so we did 4 types of forces: gravitational force, electrostatic force, frictional force, and muscular force. Okay, now we are going to do something that you have, and it's something that is so important in force, and you have already done it. Okay, Newton's first law of motion. Now what is Newton's first law of motion? Again, please stop the video here, take time and write down in your book, and then again pause, restart it after maybe 1 minute or something, or maybe 90 seconds, and then see what is it. Okay, because you should test your memory also. What is Newton's law of motion? Newton's law of motion states, and I read this word by word because every word is important. A body continues, a body continues to be in rest or in state of motion unless it is acted upon by an external unbalanced force. I will read it again. Okay, you should read it 3 times. Any law in physics, you should read it 3 times to understand it. A body continues to be in rest or in state of motion unless it is acted upon by an external unbalanced force. तो if I translate it to हिंदी, तो वो क्या बोलना चाह रहा है? A body मतलब एक object continues to be rest, मतलब वो rest में रहता है और in state of motion, या एक motion में रहता है. कब तक? अनलेस जब एक बॉडी तब तक रेस्ट या स्टेट ऑफ मोशन, एक मोशन में रहता है जब तक उस पे कोई बाहर से एक एक्सटर्नल अनबैलेंस्ड फोर्स नहीं लगता. मतलब फॉर एग्जांपल सिंपल, नाउ आई विल गिव एग्जांपल. You have a simple object that is at rest in your house. For example, take your water bottle. Water bottle एक प्लेस पे है, वो ऐसे ही पड़ी है, इट्स एट स्टेट ऑफ रेस्ट. अभी वो कब तक रेस्ट पे रहेगी, तब तक हम लोग उसको बाहर से फोर्स नहीं लगाते, हम लोग उसको उठाते नहीं है, और वी डोंट पिक इट अप और वी डोंट थ्रो इट समवेयर. तब तक वो अपने रेस्ट के पोजीशन पे रहेगी. दैट्स व्हाट न्यूटन लॉ सेज. मतलब if see this now, this video, a motorcycle is going, इट्स इन मोशन. वो स्टार्टिंग से आ रहा है आ रहा है आ रहा है, इट्स गोइंग आराम से अपनी मोशन में. वो कब तक जा रहा है, तब तक उसके सामने वॉल नहीं आता है. जब वो वॉल आता है, एक एक्सटर्नल वॉल आता है, वो एक फोर्स लगाता है वॉल, उसके वजह से उसका मोशन खराब हो जाता है. This is what Newton's law of motion says. I hope you remember, and if even if you don't remember from this video, you have understood something and has recalled something. We will do our objective on the Zoom call. So I would like to see everyone on the Zoom call after after watching this video. And there are some questions that I've sent to you on your group. Please complete that also and send it to me. Cool. See you all on the Zoom call. Thank you so much.